Hey guys, this is Elijah from Elijah Marketing here again, and if my voice sounds a little bit rough or I look a little bit tired, it's probably because I was screaming at England yesterday in the Euro semi-final, and we made it. We made it through to the final. We were watching them on Sunday. But the thing is, I'm actually going to be scaling Ben Nevis, UK's tallest mountain, across the weekend. So nearly almost missing the final. But we managed at the last minute to change everything, to change the dates, to change flights, make sure the flights were the right time, and get back to London from Scotland in time after we climbed Ben Nevis, so we can obviously watch England win it and finally bring it back home. But yeah, before I went on that, I just wanted to make this video because I've been in Ads Manager recently and I've noticed something new which is being rolled out. It might already be in your Ads Manager for the last few months or few weeks, but if you've just seen it, you might be questioning what exactly is it or be worried about it. So I want to make this video on it now, and it is the ePrivacy Directive, which is coming up in the ad set level of Facebook ads managers. So let's go to the laptop now and see exactly what it's all about. We're going to go through everything together. Okay, let's get into it. If you get into the campaign level of your ads manager and just choose any campaign, go to the ad set. On the right hand side, you will see a little notice which says performance may be affected. Now, you might have had this for a few months, for a few weeks, for a few days, whatever the case may be. Facebook always rolls out notices and changes to different ad accounts at different times, periodically. Doesn't matter. The point is, when you see this, and you will see this probably, we're going to go through it. Facebook says evolving changes related to how Facebook can process data may affect your ad set's delivery and performance. And then it has a little drop down which says ePrivacy Directive. Okay, let's click on that. Facebook says we've updated our privacy controls for people in the European region to align our products with evolving regional privacy guidance. As people use these controls to limit how Facebook processes their data, your ad set's delivery and performance may be affected. And there's a learn more link. So how will it be affected? Why will it be affected? And what can you do? Always click on the learn more link. I always urge people to find out what they're doing, especially if they're running Facebook ads. Click on the learn more links, click on the help articles and read it. Now on the learn more links, it basically goes in depth on, let's zoom in here, let's see if we can zoom that in. Nice. So it says starting on July the 6th and rolling out gradually over the coming months, they're updating their cookie consent prompt and introducing new third-party data control for people in the European region. So if you're not in the European region or advertising in the European region, then you don't really need to have this scribbled in the front of your notebook. But it's definitely something to keep your ear on the ground about, as Facebook is such a volatile and ever-changing place currently, and it's really, really important and good practice to know what's going on in the industry. So these are ongoing efforts to align their products to evolving privacy rules in Europe, such as updated regulatory guidance on the ePrivacy Directive. Now, Facebook goes in depth here about what is going to be changing, cookies and cookies from other companies. But the main thing, what we want to know as advertisers, and I really, really urge you, I read the whole thing. I really urge you to read this whole thing. It doesn't take very, very long. It's around 2 minutes for you. But the main thing we want to know as advertisers is what this means for advertisers using Facebook business tools. Right, let's zoom in again. Cool. So first line, there is no required action for advertisers as a result of these updates. Does that mean there's nothing for you to do? Or does that mean Facebook doesn't really need you to do anything to abide by any law or something? That's what it means, the latter. Right, so the latter. It means that Facebook doesn't really need you to make any changes in your ad sets or your campaign or your ads or anything in your account level to abide by this new notice they put out. It's simply a notice. It's simply telling you some information, and you can do with that information what you will. It's giving you advice, but you don't really need to change anything. I, as an advertiser, I urge you to make everything perfect in your ad account all the time, from including a profile picture on your business manager, verifying your email, verifying your account, everything in the business info section, and then in the ads manager as well. Make sure everything is there. And we're going to go through this in a step by step in a second as well. So It says businesses that use Facebook Business Tools still need to implement their own cookie consent protocols to comply with this directive where applicable. For more information on cookie consent requirement in the European region, please refer to the cookie consent resource. We'll click on that in a second. We're going to have a look at that and what you can do with that information. Just scrolling down, we're going to see the impacts on various things. So the ad creation impact. There is no change to campaign setup as a result of these updates, and businesses can continue to use existing campaigns. The key thing though, however, campaigns targeting ads to people in the European region may begin to gradually experience decreased performance beginning on July the 6th. We see this in everything here. Delivery status impact. No fundamental changes to delivery systems with the updates, but businesses may see some performance impact from July the 6th. Same thing with third-party data. There is no change to how we will process data, but you should be doing stuff like using Conversions API. I'll talk more about that in a second as well. They say, however, we will discard the data of European region users who have not given a revoked consent, except where the individual data is both from received via the Conversions API or the customer list custom audience tool, as well as matched using contact information such as the email or mobile number rather than a cookie ID or other device identifiers. We're going to come back to that. Just want to reiterate this point that Facebook is saying everywhere in this thing, there is no particular thing that you need to do about it, but there will be an impact from it, probably decreased impact rather than a positive impact. Again, it started only a few days ago, depending on what time you're watching this, but it says in the entire article, it talks about how they're going to be impacts going to your ad account. So again, just take a read of all of this, click on the various links wherever you're from. But let's go to this bottom section over here, and then we're going to go to the cookie policy that Facebook is linked to. We're going to talk about that. So the Conversions API is a kind of a new thing Facebook's put into play to combat the iOS 14.5 changes, which you've probably heard about by now, that Apple introduced. And it's doing pretty well, and I really recommend you install the Conversions API onto your site. Now, if you're running a Shopify e-commerce store, any kind of Shopify store, you may run into problems if you have the pixel and the API set up, which is deduplication. If that is an issue you run into, and hundreds of people have so far, it is probably a video I'm going to make in the next week or so, and it's quite a new issue, and we're still working out exactly what we can do about it. We're on the cusp of finding a solution, and when I do, I'm going to make a video about it. So if you want a video about that, let me know in the comments, and I'll definitely try and churn that out as fast as possible. Match using contact information, this kind of stuff. Again, I urge you to set up maximum data sharing on your data sharing side of stuff on whatever website hosting platform you're using, whether it's Squarespace, Shopify, whatever it is. Make sure it's on maximum settings so you don't have to rely on cookie IDs, and you can rely on the data sharing aspect of it, which is basically the Conversions API in a lot of instances. In terms of customer lists, again, I urge you to put in your email list segmented properly and upload it to Facebook so that you have a customer list there, and Facebook can use that instead of using stuff from the cookie side of stuff. Now, again, ads reporting will be impacted as well. Is there anything you can do to change it? No. Should you be doing stuff to change it? No. But are you going to make your clients aware? Yes. Are you going to try and do things to negate the impact of this? Yes. Okay. So 2 things already. Install the Conversions API. 3 things. Use the Conversions API and install it. Use your custom audiences, your email list, upload them to custom audiences, and also use the advanced matching, the maximum settings on everything. Some bonus things as well would be to set everything up in the background of your ads manager from the AEMs, which is aggregated events management. Again, if you want a video on that, it can get really complicated. I even talked to a Facebook marketing expert from Facebook who's kind of confused about it as well. I'll definitely try and make a video about that, so let me know if you want to know more about that. But have your AEM set up. Make sure your priority list is set up properly, and you know what's going to be first priority, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. And if you have the purchase priority values, you need to know which ones and how many values you need to have, and what other events you can sacrifice for those values. Make sure that's all set up. Make sure your events tool is set up. Make sure advanced matching is set up. Make sure the Conversions API is set up. Make sure the advanced maximum setting is data sharing is set up as well. Everything is set up. Your pixel as well is working fine and firing fine. That is all set up in the background. And that's almost the most you can do. And now we'll look at the cookie consent resource and see what is all that about. So definitely take a read of everything here, but this is what we want to know. The ePrivacy Directive contains specific requirements governing the use of cookies and similar technologies, briefly summarized below. We strongly recommend you familiarize yourself with those requirements and seek any specific legal guidance where necessary. Cool, pretty straightforward. So what is the requirements? Right underneath it, requirements. You must obtain user consent before setting, reading cookies or other trackers for any purposes that are not strictly necessary, otherwise exempt. What is this saying? Basically, you need to have something on your site which allows a user to opt in or opt out of cookies. Simple. Now, the next thing, you must provide the user with clear and comprehensive information about the use of cookies. What does that say? Basically, have a cookie policy on your site. Simple. You can take a further read of all this stuff as well. Very, very important and useful data given here, useful information given here, especially about how to obtain cookie consent. Make sure you're on the right side of the law, your wording is all correct. But if you don't want to have the painstaking task of writing cookie policy from scratch, there are some ways to generate it from some tools online. And you can have a Google yourself. There's some good stuff out there. There's free privacypolicy.com. There is a termly.io, which is good as well. You can find out what you want to get from there. There's also GetTerms.io, which what I like to personally use for. We use it for our own website and also for some of our clients' websites as well. A good way to start off, just use their free privacy policy. That's a good foundational stuff to have. It'll get you covered for some privacy policy stuff on lead forms and on your Facebook page as well. But in terms of the cookie policy and the ePrivacy Directive we're talking about, you might want to pay for the comprehensive pack, which really isn't too much. If you're in the UK or Europe as well, the GDPR will come in really, really useful. And for $49, it's always like £35, you're sorted and you have a future-proof thing in place. Then you can run Facebook ads without any concern that you're doing things which are incorrect. So let's see what they offer here. So at the top here, you can just put in your website address, company website name, your location, email address, all that kind of stuff, and what language are you using for your policy. So we're going to be using UK, obviously. And then here, it's so simple to use, just a tick box of what you need to be putting onto your privacy policy. So your website logs browser statistics and user behavior. This is for if you're running Facebook ads. I'm going to go through with you what you kind of should be ticking. So that's a tick, 100%. My website collects data. Yes, so if you have a pixel or conversions API or you're tracking anything whatsoever, your website does collect data. What kind of data does it collect? Now, I urge you, using that term again, I urge you to future-proof your policies so you don't have to keep on changing them as time goes by. And if you do change them, you probably have to update your previous ads or whatever you need to do. And that's still kind of the route you want to be going down. So just make it future-proof straight away and you're sorted, basically. You don't have to do anything else after that. So I'd recommend just ticking everything. People probably aren't going to be looking at your privacy policy in depth and the fine print of everything. But it just, again, future-proofs you from any kind of action or lawsuit people will be taking against you, if they do happen to read it. So I'll tick that. My website collects personal information. Yes, it does. What kind of information? So you're probably collecting the name if you're running lead forms. If you're collecting social media profiles, so this is really good for lead forms. And if you probably are going to be running lead forms in the future or doing any kind of brand analysis, any kind of feedback stuff, you probably will be collecting stuff from this. And also, if you're not running Facebook ads but running other stuff from like MailChimp or newsletters, you do want to be ticking this as well. So again, just make sure you're covering your bases and tick the relevant stuff. What are you going to be using this for? Personalizing experiences, so you have dynamic landing pages, that kind of stuff, or you have specific landing pages depending on what kind of links people are clicking on for specifically segmented ads. You want to be clicking on personalizing experiences. What else? So maybe analytics and market research, order and delivery and fulfillment if you're running some kind of shop. And you can just go through this and see what it is. Email newsletters most likely, 100% advertising and marketing, competitions probably,
But yeah, maybe use your account registration if you're gonna have a login page. But yeah, that is that probably. But again, make sure you're doing it right for your site. So does your website collect sensitive information? If that is the case, for example, on a lead form, and a lot of these things aren't actually allowed on lead forms, so just be careful. But if you're running newsletters or stuff like that, very particular stuff, then maybe you do want to tick this as well. And have a look here. Again, this is sensitive information, so not every single website will have this, but if you do, it's a really good idea just to have a check and read everything. Don't ever skim read any stuff like this. Have a proper read of everything. So I'm going to untick that for now. Does your website use third-party services? For example, analytics, Google Analytics, or Bing Ads, or MailChimp. So that's probably a yes. You should be using Google Analytics. So tracking, 100%. Kiss metrics, this is a new Patel thing, I believe. It's pretty good as well. If anything else here, if you're using, make sure you select that. If you're using something, other thing, I don't know, write that in there as well, whatever it is. Opt-in email services, MailChimp, for example, anything else. I know people use other stuff like Klaviyo, I believe. That kind of stuff, you want to be ticking that. Advertising display purposes, Google AdSense maybe in the future. Again, if you're not using Google Ads right now, but you've just started with Facebook ads, you probably want to be running an omnidirectional marketing strategy in the future with Google ads, YouTube ads, TikTok, Snapchat. So again, just future-proof yourself. Tick it now. So I'm just going to tick those two, and that is all good for me. Does your website use cookies? You let me know. Does your website use cookies? And if it does, make sure you tick it. Don't be scared by any of this. Nobody's going to go onto this and think, oh no, this person's website is using cookies and I need to, report them or something. You're doing this to protect yourself. Okay, you're doing it to protect yourself. So just make sure you're ticking the right thing. Are you targeting anybody under the age of 13? Again, this is stuff which is going to be very particular to your site. So make sure you click on that. Do you accept or publish user-generated content like comments on blog posts, or can people upload stuff themselves to your site? If so, then you need to be ticking that. User can download the personal information they've shared through my website. If so, you tick that as well. If a user requested, I committed deleting their personal information within a certain time period. Now, you don't need to click that, but if you want to click it, then click it, and then specify a time. I would recommend not setting something ridiculous like 1 day, but put it in the future a little bit. Not 1 day, maybe like 90 days or 60 days. Just give yourself a barrier so you can have the time to delete it. Data footprint, let users know where your data may be stored. Click that as well if you are storing your data somewhere like on external servers or stuff like that. Most sites would need to click that. An acceptable use policy. Add a complementary acceptable use policy in to your org. Okay, so that is that, and you can go through and you can generate terms as well, and you're sorted in that form. So basically, that is everything that you need to know about Facebook's ePrivacy Directive. There's nothing particularly important that you need to be scared or worried about, but it's something that you should just take a moment to make sure you're doing everything correctly. Have a look at your old privacy policy. When was the last time you updated? Was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Do you need to make some updates to your terms and conditions, to your cookie policy? Have you got your AEMs, your conversions API, your pixel set up, your events manager? Have you got maximum data sharing set up? Have you got advanced matching set up? Is everything set up? If not, there are some things you need to go over, and don't just assume in your head as well. If you are a marketer who's been doing it for a while, just go back and have a look for some time. And I guarantee most people watching this probably haven't updated their privacy policy in the last week or so. So it might be something to do for you guys. If you have any questions about this, or any specific video requests you want me to make, for example, on the Conversions API and the Shopify deduplication stuff, or the AEMs, aggregated events management, and how to figure out what your priority should be, then let me know, and I'll try and make a video soon, probably next week or the week after. But yeah, any questions, let me know, and please subscribe and like this video, as it will definitely help the channel out a lot. Thanks guys.